Hey, hello, you're stuck in Try with Wolf Gorlick. A few minutes riffing on IT and IT security. Today looking at defining the problem of containerization security. Abstractions are a powerful thing, right? And abstractions are powerful in two ways. One, builders, developers, engineers. We love abstractions. It simplifies things. It helps us focus. It helps us build with building blocks to create things. Two, attackers, the red team, the hackers, right? We love abstractions too because it's the gap between abstraction and reality. It's the gap between what we say it is and what it really is. It's that gap and exploiting that gap. The difference between our thinking and the thinking of the machine, that allows an attacker to get in. It's that creates the vulnerability. You think of something like Spectre, Meltdown recently, perfect example. We thought that CPUs worked one way, but in reality it works another way. So the tip for you is that the security in Docker, the problem of security in Docker, is a problem of securing the layers of abstraction. Now, what does that really mean? See, way back in the day, we had to build everything, right? There wasn't a lot of abstraction. You ran your own network cables and spliced ends and bought parts off the internet, and heck, if you go back long enough, you're soldering and putting on the chips on the boards. So the history of modern computing, to which containerization is at the tip of, is the history of layers of abstraction, simplifying things for our builders. Right? It got simpler when you could just install an operating system and the developers could build on it. It got simpler when you said, okay, now we no longer have to require physical hardware and have to wait for that provisioning. We're going to give you a virtual machine. It got simpler and more abstract when we said, now don't worry necessarily about the virtual machine. We're going to have this idea of application containers. It gets progressively simpler in these environments. Don't worry about doing everything by hand. We've got DevOps to automate it for you. So each one of those layers moving up the technology stack is a layer of abstraction. Each one of those layers makes it easier for builders. But as I said a moment ago, each one of those layers also makes it easier for criminals to get in. So the problem of containerization security, when you want to delve into it, is the problem of looking at the gaps of each layer in that abstraction and trying to figure out how you can bring visibility into the security control over and policy enforcement within each one of those layers. Not an easy thing, but a vulnerability in the kernel can sabotage every machine, every container on that box. A vulnerability within the way Docker's set up can sabotage everything as well. A vulnerability when the application code might allow us to get to some of those other vulnerabilities. So it's about building a set of tools to get you insight into each one of those layers. I'll look at different ways to do that in future videos, but for now, what do you think? Do you have a good tool, good recommendation for achieving that visibility and the policy enforcement? Hit me up on social media or comments. Cheers.